Yeah, sir. All right. Marques Brownlee. All right. Look at the. Yeah, okay. Haircut is on point. Okay. iPhone 16e. Who are you? What are you? I haven't heard of it. I'm an avid Apple fan. Okay. You know what I'm saying? 16e. I'm thinking like iPhone 5C or iPhone SE, iPhone 10R. You know what I'm saying? So obviously it's gonna be like a budget 16. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what he's talking about. You feel what I'm saying? Editing is on point as per usual.
Hi, welcome to Honesty Wireless,
Hey,
the
how you
world's
doing?
most honest salesman here. How can I help you today?
Okay.
Hi, yeah, so I'd like a cheap new iPhone, please. Cool, so unfortunately, the iPhone SEs are out of style, but
Yep.
we do have iPhone 14s. I think that'll be perfect for you.
Perfect for
I'll
you.
get you started with that.
Yep.
Actually,
There you go.
Actually, I'd like a cheap, small-ish iPhone with a 48 megapixel camera, specifically. Okay,
Yeah, we gotta go like
well
14.
then I can get you the iPhone 15 to get
15.
started. Perfect.
Thank
Wait. Okay, so I would like a cheap, smallish
Sir, you
iPhone with a
gotta-
48 megapixel camera, and I gotta have Apple Intelligence. So
Okay. 15 Pro.
nobody ever asked for that, but then I'll get you with an iPhone 15 Pro. We got those on refurb. Okay, so
Boom.
I have exactly
Sir.
$600 to spend
How do you-
on a cheap, smallish iPhone. I need a 48 megapixel camera. I need Apple Intelligence. I need an OLED screen. I heard that was good. And it's got to have Face ID. And I want that action button. So yeah.
Sir, I get off in
Okay.
15 minutes.
No, yeah, that's still, an iPhone 15 Pro should actually be good for all of your needs. So and also I hate high refresh rate, so it's got to be 60 hertz. And MagSafe, I hate that too. Don't want that.
Sir, you want a new phone or not?
What? Who are you?
Wait a minute.
So this is the brand new 2025 iPhone 16e. And this is not a budget phone anymore.
Whoa, it's
so the
very
SEs
small.
of the past used to be definitively budget. This one is not. This phone starts at $599, and Apple storage upgrade prices are still ridiculous as usual. So the phone that I happen to be holding and testing right now costs $900. So this is not a budget phone.
That's not
It happens to be the cheapest new iPhone available, but it's not cheap anymore, which makes it much harder to recommend. See, the iPhone SE for the past 2 generations, even though it's been old body, new chip,
old
it's
body,
been the easiest iPhone to recommend
remember that?
for
The
most
freaking
people.
rounded
To your
corners and stuff?
parents, to kids, to random people getting their first iPhone, to anyone who is randomly
button,
upgrading
yo.
from an old phone.
The
It's
last
just the
time y'all
cheapest
saw
new
a home
iPhone,
button, yo.
and it's fine. But those phones were $399 and $429. So at $599, this phone that they've made, we just look at it differently now. And so I've been using this phone for the past week trying to figure out who I
that's
think
how much the
I could
iPhone
actually
10 cost in
recommend
what, 2018?
to buy it. And I
That's crazy.
don't think there is one.
18. There you go.
The secret to making the SE iPhone so cheap for years has been the part bin strategy. Basically taking parts that they've already spent the money engineering and just Frankensteining them together. And this is true again for this 16e. So this time it's mostly in the body of
That
the
color
iPhone
is
14.
fire. That
so you've
matte,
got your
oh my
aluminum build,
goodness.
your flat sides, your USB Type-C, even IP68 water resistance.
With the
But then
action
it's
button?
a new single camera ring on the back. We'll get to that in a minute. And they've added the action button to the left side too. Up at the front, it also still appears to be straight
looks
from the
good,
iPhone
though.
14. You've got your 6.1-inch screen with a notch and Face ID. It definitely is just all bringing the cheapest iPhone up to date with a more modern look. Again, remember the last one
It reminds me of a 12 a little bit,
so
though. I'm
This
not
is
gonna
way
lie.
better. It's not the brightest display in the
Yes.
world, so once you get it out into direct sunlight, it's a bit less visible
that?
than some other actually modern displays. And it's also still 60 hertz, which is still silly. But in general, it looks
some
fine.
interesting
But this is
ass on the
exactly where the
phone,
nickel and
boy.
diming begins. So you've got this whole family of iPhone 16s now, 16e, 16s, and 16 Pros. Good, better, best, if you want to call it that. And so the cheapest iPhone, they've had to take stuff out of it to get it down to this price. Some of the stuff they've
What they
taken
take out? Oh,
not that big of a deal. Some of the stuff they've taken out, kind of harder to swallow. So here's one. The headline is that it gets the newest silicon straight from the flagship iPhone 16, the A18 chip. Great. Asterisk,
Okay.
this is not exactly the same silicon. This chip has one less GPU core. Pretty classic binning. Not that big of a deal. This happens
For a
all the
budget
time.
phone,
We just
I mean,
saw the
you're not
Oppo
supposed
Find
to expect all of
N5.
that.
That also has a binned Snapdragon 8 Elite with only 7
Why did I think that
cores
was an
instead of the
Apple product
typical
for a second?
8.
Wait,
It's
what?
barely a footnote, honestly. You'll only really maybe notice
Wait,
it with intense gaming, with the few games that are actually that taxing on the GPU. But aside from that, it's really good. This formula has worked in the past, and it's always ended up being, on paper, one of the most powerful
that looks like he
phones in
edited
its
it
price bracket.
onto the screen.
And that's still
That
true. It
joint
still
look
is.
crazy.
So a binned CPU, GPU, fine. Fine cut. Another cut, colors. There's no colors. There's only matte black or matte white. And this whole design here really is actually, it's super clean and also super boring. There's a complete lack of text anywhere on the back.
It reminds me of
And
a
honestly,
Tesla.
the
Got that
relatively
Tesla,
small
like,
camera
sleek,
bump is a bit
modern,
refreshing, honestly.
yet dull,
But yeah, if you want
simplistic
any type of
look.
color on this phone, you'll
I
need a
love
case or a skin to get that. It's funny, the last two iPhone SEs I reviewed were both bright red, which
That
I thought was
red,
fun.
right?
And now there's actually no more product red products anywhere in Apple's lineups. That was that program that was the red colored products where the proceeds would go to help support
good old
AIDS
days,
programs.
man. Oh, take me
I kind of
back.
wonder what happened to that. So colors, that's another cut. Okay. No MagSafe in the 16E. That one feels a little worse. So obviously the last SE also didn't have MagSafe, but that was 3 years ago. And MagSafe has now become a staple of the iPhone experience, at least I thought. And this is supposed to be the cheapest version of a modern iPhone.
I've never used
but
it
no,
ever.
this phone has just slow first-gen Qi wireless charging that maxes out at 7.5 watts. And since there's no magnets to make sure you get alignment right, if you're just a little bit off, it can be painfully slow. This week, I had it on my desk charger for like half an hour, and it gained 0% while just getting warmer. I don't have to remind you of the downsides of early wireless charging. Of course, if you really, really want MagSafe on your 16E.
It's just not practical to me, though. I mean, I just feel like I don't be, like, I like the wired chargers because they're like, if I'm on my phone and stuff like that, I can just like be on the bed like, yeah, man, I'm like, land that tilted, you know what I'm saying? Like I could just be texting on my phone and stuff like that. But like if you have a wireless charger, you have to sit it down. And I know I'm acting like the typical young person that just can't put their phone down, but it's just inconvenient. Like what if I want to check something right quick? What if somebody called me right quick? What if I'm somebody text me right quick? You know what I'm saying? I just want to check something right quick. You know what I'm saying? You got to take it off. Now you're not charging no more. That's stupid to me. You ask me, you should take the MagSafe. You see how it's like a circle? You look. Okay? Hear me out. You Apple, you can steal this. Okay. You see how that's a circle? Now, take this cord, right? Boom. Make it detachable. All right? So that cord is like plugged into this circle. You see what I'm saying? Now it's charging it. Now it's plugged into the wall over there or whatever, and it's charging this. Now then, once it's charged, it has like a little, maybe like a green little dot right here on top. You know what I'm saying? You detach this part, and then you just stick this onto the back of the iPhone. That's like modern day Mophis. I don't see why that hasn't been implemented. And I thought of that right now. Why hasn't that been like, you know what I mean? Like, why is that not feasible? Why would that not work? It sticks just as good as if it were plugged in. I don't see the point of it like really being wireless charging if the wireless charger has to be plugged in. It's not wireless. Like, I just don't get it, bro. I just don't get it. I don't get it, bro.
Now become it's supposed to slow and sensible. This week, I'm all just getting warmer.
There we go. Okay.
On your 16E. There's nothing stopping you from getting a case. So I've got one from channel sponsor D-Brand here, their grip case. And it's got the magnets in the case like we've seen in the Android world. So users who only spend $600 to be able to get
let's get this ad out the way.
MagSafe accessories on the back of the phone without
y'all
a
done
case.
got,
Oh, and while
man,
we're at
they
it,
done
if you
got
want to
slick.
get full protection,
I mean, it's
D-Brand
been
also
happening for a
supports the
while.
16E with their easy-to-install Prism 2.0 screen protector. So you can actually save 15% if you bundle a Prism with a grip case.
Damn.
So I'd recommend that route if you're buying both.
I need to get me
Check them
one
both
of them
out
new screen
at
protectors that slide off and
dbrand.com/bundle.
stuff. Mine is just like
Either way, the iPhone has been the phone
screen
with
joint.
magnets for so long in my head that I just feel like it's super disappointing to not have them in a new $600 iPhone. But now we got to talk about that camera.
Bro, that is crazy. We live in a world where a budget phone is $600. And then I'm literally like, oh, wait, I can get that. Oh, it's only $600. Like, I don't know if like our income's gone up or inflation's just so high that it's normal, you know, but like we're still gonna spend, but we can save. Like, I don't know, bro. It's just crazy out there. It's crazy out here. Chips are like $2 for $1 now, bro.
So there's a new single camera on the back. I actually think the whole good, better, best thing with the iPhones, where like the cheap one has one camera, the middle one has two cameras, and then the best one has three cameras. It actually feels pretty natural and like an easy to understand hierarchy. But please understand that this single camera is also not the same as the primary camera on the iPhone 16. It's 48 megapixels, just like the 16 and 16 Pro, but that's only part of the story. It is actually a much smaller sensor with inferior stabilization.
Bro, that looks
so
like
that manifests itself into just a very different look HDLR, for photos. It kind of reminds me a lot, actually, of the A-series Pixel phones. It's not necessarily a worse look during daytime anyway. It's just different.
Yeah, that's rich.
Way less shallow depth of field, a lot less natural bokeh. There's still plenty of sharpness and typical iPhone colors and saturation, but then the image definitely gets much more quickly soft as the light starts to go away because the tiny sensor is just not getting as much light. It gets less likely to freeze action and more likely to kick in night mode. Also, missing the second lens means you're missing cinematic mode, spatial video, and macros. So I just think, in general, if you're the type of person that cares a lot about the camera on your phone, you can see the clear, steady progression of better iPhone equals better camera. But this one, honestly, for its price range is fine. Now, there's a couple other smaller things that the iPhone 16e also doesn't have. Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 support is one of them. Honestly, not a huge deal to me. It would be nice for future-proofing. Other phones do have it. But a lot of people will never notice because they also will never update their router. There's also no ultra-wideband, so you cannot do the precision finding with any AirTags or anything like that. There also is the action button, but there is no camera control on this phone. But honestly, I don't think anyone's dying for that. But the sneaky X factor with this phone is they've actually introduced a new part, and that's Apple's first in-house designed cellular modem called C1. So there were some rumors about this. I remember from years back, Apple spent literally $1 billion acquiring part of Intel's modem business. So fast forward 6 years, and this is the first iPhone that doesn't have a Qualcomm modem in it. Apple's replaced it with their own for 4G, 5G, GPS, and satellite. Now, they've had a lot of success with the vertical integration thing lately. Bro. We just saw this with Apple Silicon replacing all the Intel chips that used to be in MacBooks. So I think the question people are wondering is this the Apple Silicon of modems?
Right.
And I think the short answer is you probably won't really notice anything, but that's actually a good thing. Like I did speed tests in different places, didn't find anything really too dramatic. Gripping the phone differently in different ways also doesn't seem to matter at all because as far as I can tell,
on those older phones, you grip like the little
there is no millimeter wave 5G support with this modem yet. That's something to keep in mind, though, again, a lot of people will also never notice that. What is sneaky important, though, is modems can be or have been really big power draws in phones. Like, you've probably noticed this. If you're in an area with, like, kind of crappy cellular signal and your phone is, like, hunting and switching back and forth between 4G and 5G, that can drain your battery a lot. And the main claimed improvement of the C1 really is actually efficiency, which I love to hear. It's funny, SE iPhones of the past have always also been small.
Get all this garbage off my screen, man. Seriously.
All because they're using older bodies. Small body, but modern processor that draws a lot of power. So battery life was just not a strong suit of those phones. But this 16E is a modern-sized big phone. And then it has this new, more efficient modem that is actually physically smaller and makes room for a physically larger battery. So battery life on this phone's been really good in my week of using it. Literally on par with my 16 Pro. It wireless charges way slower, but it's really good battery. So two main thoughts here on the C1. One, if Apple's been working on this for years, it actually makes sense that they would debut it in a relatively low stakes, lower volume phone like the 16E. Iron out any kinks or figure out if there's any issues with it. And then when it's a big deal in the iPhone 17 series later this year,
to compete with right now.
Should be all set. But also two, maybe this is like the other missing piece that will help enable Apple to make this like super thin iPhone Air everyone's talking about. Apple's always wanted to make super thin stuff.
Please don't.
Battery life always suffers when you do that. So maybe this alongside that silicon carbide battery tech could enable them to make an iPhone that's super thin whose battery doesn't suck. Maybe. We'll see. But overall, the
Android,
iPhone 16e,
I don't know how Android does it
the
with
more
them
I think
batteries,
about this
man,
phone,
but they
the
do
more
their
it
thing,
feels
yo.
like
Seriously.
it exists specifically to push you up to an iPhone 16 in Apple's classic
Basically, that's
price
what I
ladder.
got from
You
it.
get enticed by this base price, but then the next rung on the ladder is only a small jump away, and it's sitting there with all of its
simple,
shiny
it's
extras
fire.
like MagSafe and an ultra-wide camera. Here's the problem, though. This phone fits the price ladder, sure, but it doesn't fit the price tag. Like, let's be real. Everything that's wrong with this phone is the price. Now, I'm sure tariffs,
Yeah, that's the price,
the R&D of this
definitely
new
the price,
C1
bro.
chip, the extra RAM to support Apple
But then
Intelligence,
again, like,
inflation, maybe even, like all these things to some extent contribute to the higher price of this phone. Maybe Apple also plans on increasing the entire iPhone 17 lineup price too. But this is the same identity crisis that the Pixel A series just had. I don't know if you remember that, but that budget phone came out, but the slightly older, more premium phone was still a better deal for most people because it was on a slight discount already. So you could get a refurbished iPhone 15 Pro
fully unlocked
for $600.
What?
Today. I could argue that
Wait,
every
15?
single person considering the 16e should start by considering the 15 Pro. It's just everything about it is better. The screen, it's way brighter, more visible.
more
It's
screen
a higher
size,
refresh rate.
refresh rate,
Triple cameras
battery
instead of one
probably.
camera. Same battery life.
Yeah.
It's only 1 year older. It's got Apple Intelligence. It's just, you should just start with that phone instead. And I actually feel like I know what Apple's answer would be if I asked them who should buy
That
this
phone's
phone.
too small
Because if
for
you
me,
go
bro.
to their
I'm a
site for the
pro guy.
16e, the built-in compare tool
Pro Max.
only shows comparisons versus iPhone 12 and 12 mini and iPhone 11 and the older SEs. So basically, if you're somebody with one of these older phones,
would
then
hope
this
it's
would be a
80%
perfectly fine
faster
upgrade for you. You get that more
than like a
modern design,
5-year-old phone.
the new chip, Apple Intelligence, and you're set. And they'd be right. It's not a bad phone for those people at all. It's just the new price does not match the phone. What? Who are you?
Wait, was he just talking to the carrier that whole time? Yo, that's wild. Like you going like a customer comes into your store asking for some shoes and he gives you a whole background on shoes. Like, bro, that's crazy. But yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, y'all buying a 16e, that's a little bit. I mean, but then you got to think, like, who needs a terabyte in a phone, bro? Like, what are you downloading? Are you downloading every game in the App Store? Like, you don't have to spend the 1,000 on the highest storage capacity. You get that 128. I'm a 128 person. Maybe I might consider a 256 the next time I get a phone. But I'm a 128 guy, you know what I'm saying? I don't be having that much stuff to download on my phone type shit. You feel me? So I can go with that. So $600, like, that would be my safest bet, you know what I'm saying? But that's still kind of high. You feel me? I'm just gonna stick with my iPhone 4S. You feel?